It is now time for our devotional thought. Elizabeth Talbot from Jesus 101 will be sharing with us this morning. Good morning, Elizabeth.
When I was a little girl, my mom and I used to use public transportation in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We always took the same bus as far as the number is concerned. It was 161. But sometimes the bus was going the opposite way, and they would put a little sign on the windshield, which of course at night you couldn't see very well. Well, one night my mom and I took the bus going the wrong way. We didn't know that, but soon my mother realized that we were far away from home and we were in a bad area. And she says, we have to get off this bus because we are getting farther from home. We got off and it was a bad area. It was dark, it was industrial, so the blocks were long and dark, no residences that we could, go and ask for help. She asked us to start repeating verses as we walked those dark streets. And this was a difficult time in Argentina politically, so nobody was in the streets at that time of the night. For me, I had an assurance, and it was that my mother was with me. And that if she said she was going to get us home, she was going to get us home. So I just grabbed her hand a little, stronger than usual, and I just followed wherever she said to go. And you know what? She did find a way out. And I'm sure this was a very hard night for her. But for me, the fact that she was with me, that was all the assurance I needed. And she got us home safely. In these times of uncertainty, where do we get assurance? Especially as adults, as children, we trust our parents to take us wherever we need to go. As adults, where do we get assurance? Especially in times like these, pandemics, suffering, relationship problems, job loss. Where do we get assurance for the future? And is there assurance for the future? Well, we continue the Gospel of Luke, where Jesus provided assurance to the most unlikely candidates and in the most unlikely circumstances. We are in Luke chapter 23 in the scene of his execution. We're in Calvary, and there are two evildoers next to him that are dying along with Christ, who's in the middle. The execution was of excruciating pain. As a matter of fact, our word excruciating, the excruce, comes from the cross. That's what excruce means, from the cross. So that's how bad the pain was. And he is surrounded by people that are mocking him, Jesus is. Rulers, the Jewish rulers are mocking him, the leaders of the Jewish nation, also the soldiers, also the crowd. And his disciples are fleeing the scene, and it's all chaos. And on top of that, he has a sign on top of the cross that says, King of the Jews, because he's dying for political treason, because he was a king. And they thought, only Caesar, right? In the midst of this chaotic scene, Jesus says, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Forgive them. Forgive all of them. The soldiers, the Jewish leaders, the crowd, the disciples that are fleeing, everybody. Forgive them. And that's a summary of his ministry, right? So here we have the three crosses. Jesus crossed in the middle, two on the side for the evildoers. And we pick it up in Luke chapter 23, verse 39. Two evildoers, says the Greek karkurgos. Karkos means bad and ergo means work. The workers of evil, evildoers, are next to him. But they're having a different response to his sacrifice. Chapter 23 of Luke, verse 39. One of the criminals who were hanged there was hurling abuse at him, saying, are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us. But the other one has a different response. It's interesting because both evildoers next to Jesus represent the whole world, the people that will mock his sacrifice and the ones that will accept his sacrifice. The second one, verse 40, the other one answered and rebuked him, the other evildoer. Do you not even fear God, since you're under the same sentence of condemnation? We indeed are suffering justly, for we are receiving what we deserve for our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong. He says we're being condemned justly, righteously, but the righteous one is being condemned. He has done nothing wrong. And then he has a scandalous request. And the scandalous request reads like this on verse 42. He was saying, Jesus, remember me when you come in your kingdom. Have you ever had the opportunity to be at rock bottom and only have a couple of words for God? Like you only have one request left, one prayer? Sometimes I have been there. When you don't have a lot of words, you just have a request for God, and you need assurance at a moment that is very unlikely to give you assurance. And he says, Jesus, remember me when you come in your kingdom. Jesus means the Lord saves. Remember me. The word remember is a covenantal word that means act on my behalf. And so Jesus means Lord saves, act on my behalf. When you come into your kingdom, he's the only one, the thief is the only one with his request that realizes that after the cross, there is a crown, there is a kingdom. But the most amazing thing is that the request was granted. The scandalous request was granted. And Jesus said to him on verse 43, truly I say to you, truly I say to you. He runs to him. He cannot do it physically because he's nailed to the cross, but he runs to him with words. Truly I say to you, today. That's the first word I need you to notice. You don't have to wait till I come into my kingdom. You can have this assurance today. Today I tell you this. With me, you shall be in paradise. So remember that today, the immediacy of salvation, in the moment you make the request, you have the assurance of salvation. And then he says, you will be. It's very different to say you might be or maybe you'll be. Now he says, you will be. Where? In paradise. We always represent paradise with a fruit because of the tree of life. That was a symbol of eternity, which we lost. In Genesis 3, we no longer had access to the tree of life and paradise and everything that God had in mind for us because we sinned. At this moment, Jesus is reopening the path to paradise and the tree of life and eternity. And he promises the thief on the cross that had the request that he would be with him in paradise. He said, with me, you shall be in paradise. With me would be the ticket for this thief. And I want you to have that assurance today. Because at the cross, you are assured. You are assured that you will be. It's very different if God would have said, you might be. The possibility of salvation is very different than the assurance of salvation. And when we get at the cross from Jesus, when we request his mercy, his grace to be remembered in his kingdom, is that you will be in paradise. Not that you might be or maybe you will be, but you will be. And that assurance guides us. God doesn't want us to live with uncertainty. He doesn't say you might be, or maybe you have to wait till the end of time to see if you will be part of paradise. No, he says today, you can have the assurance, you can be assured that if you receive me as your personal Savior, you will be in paradise. And if today all you have left is a prayer, a request for mercy, you will be receiving the same response. You will be, you are assured.